If there's one thing Amazon.com is about, it's obsessive attention to the customer experience, end to end.
A common depiction of media towards millionaires is almost always on a pedestal. How much effort and commitment they put in a day, brainstorming ideas in the wee hours of the night, staying behind office hours for extra work, and the list goes on. But thanks to social media and internet access, we get to take a glimpse of what millionaires do in their daily lives. Each of us has 24 hours in a day, with different loads of work and personal issues to deal with, so it makes you wonder, how do millionaires spend their time? You're right on time for today's topic, so hang around if you want to know more, and who knows, you might pick an idea or two that will lead you to your $1 million mark. But before we get into it, kindly leave our video a thumbs up, and while you're at it, subscribe to our channel with notifications on so you won't miss any of our new releases. Now, back to how millionaires spend their time. Let's make an example of the richest man in the world as of today, Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest man in the world. Before he became the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos took an interest in the IT industry, but he decided to pursue a degree in engineering at Princeton University. When he graduated, he honed his skills by working on Wall Street. By 1990, he already became the senior vice president at the D.E. Shaw Group. 3 years later, he quit a stable and well-paying job to pursue an idea that he thought would change the world, which it did. Amazon was established in the garage of his home, and Bezos even took a loan from his parents to establish it, but thankfully, everything fell into place. Originally called Cadabra, he changed the name at the last minute and derived the name from the Amazon River. Today, Amazon is currently worth $1.7 trillion, with Bezos himself worth $194.9 billion according to data shared by Bloomberg. Being a millionaire with thousands of employees to delegate tasks to, how does he spend his time in a day? The Economic Club of Washington, D.C. managed to interview Bezos regarding his daily routine. Surprisingly, he starts it normally like the rest of us, albeit more slowly and calmly. And advanced info, he needs a good night's sleep, a standard 8 hours per night. 8 hours of sleep makes a big difference for me, and I try hard to make that a priority. For me, that's the needed amount to feel energized and excited, he stated in a separate interview back in 2016 with Thrive Global. He even stresses the importance of work-life harmony as well. I think work-life harmony is a good framework. I prefer the word harmony to the word balance because balance tends to imply a strict trade-off. In fact, if I'm happy at work, I'm better at home, a better husband, and a better father. And if I'm happy at home, I come into work more energized, a better employee, and a better colleague. In the morning, he starts it by having breakfast with his family and reading the paper. I go to bed early, I get up early. I like to putter in the morning, so I like to read the newspaper. I like to have coffee. I like to have breakfast with my kids before they go to school, so I have my kind of puttering time is very important to me, he stated in the interview. Aside from that, he also doesn't like to have meetings at 10 a.m., but at the same time, he doesn't make any big decisions past 5 p.m. I do my high IQ meetings before lunch, like anything that's going to be really mentally challenging. That's a 10 o'clock meeting, and by 5 p.m. I'm like, I can't think about that today. Let's try this again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Aside from that, Bezos also practices making 3 good decisions per day, a strategy that fellow billionaire and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway uses. As a senior executive, you get paid to make a small number of high-quality decisions. Your job is not to make thousands of decisions every day. Is that really worth it if the quality of those decisions might be lower because you're tired or grouchy? If I make like 3 good decisions a day, that's enough. Warren Buffett says he's good if he makes 3 good decisions a year, he shared in an interview with Axios.com. If you've noticed, Bezos prioritizes his mental state, since of course it is the most important aspect that lets him work. In fact, a lot of millionaires abide by a disciplined routine daily, which was the stepping stone of their success. Contrary to Bezos, Elon Musk, on the other hand, has quite a hectic work schedule. The CEO and founder of SpaceX and Tesla, along with other companies, his work ethic is intense, and there came a time that he worked 120 hours per week. Sleep is really great. I find if I don't get enough sleep, I'm quite grumpy. I could drop below a certain threshold of sleep, although I would be awake more hours, I would get less done because my mental acuity would be affected, Musk shared in a 2015 Reddit AMA. We all have 24 hours in a day. What makes theirs any different? Interestingly enough, how millionaires spend their time is quite similar to the common folk. In a study published in the journal Social Psychology and Personality Science, the difference in how millionaires spend their time from from the general public is that millionaires engage in active leisure activities in contrast to the public who engage in more passive leisure activities. Active leisure activities consist of exercising, volunteering, socializing, etc., while passive leisure activities consist of napping, watching TV, and resting, to name a few. The study elaborates this finding, saying more time spent on active leisure is positively related to the life satisfaction of millionaires, while passive leisure is negatively related to life satisfaction. Interestingly, similar results can be observed for the general population, for whom active leisure is also positively related and passive leisure negatively related to life satisfaction. But don't get us wrong, a lot of billionaires are into passive leisure activities, especially reading. Microsoft founder Bill Gates is an avid reader, and so is Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time. Mark Zuckerberg aims to read at least one book per week. Introducing the 5-hour rule. In a post shared by Business Insider, they found a pattern that the majority of successful people follow the 5-hour rule, wherein individuals roughly invest at least an hour a day in deliberate learning. This author further shared how the rule fell into 3 categories for these millionaires. Reading. Like we said before, reading has been a well-known habit by these highly successful people, wherein they spend roughly 5.5 hours a week reading for pleasure, compared to the average American's 2 hours. Like what Warren Buffett said, read 500 pages every day, Buffett said. That's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it. Even Bill Gates, with all his knowledge and experiences, encourages reading. Reading is still the main way that I both learn new things and test my understanding. Arthur Blank, Home Depot's co-founder, reads 2 hours every day. Dan Gilbert, the self-made billionaire who owns the Cleveland Cavaliers, reads for 1 to 2 hours a day. Businessman and investor Mark Cuban often reads for 3 hours a day to learn more about the industries he's working in. Billionaire entrepreneur David Rubenstein reads 6 books a week. Reflection, meditation. If not reading, another option that an individual may pour his time into is reflection. Like what Abraham Lincoln used to say, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." By doing reflection and meditation, one can attune himself and take a moment to process what's happening in his life. And at times, eureka moments also take place by doing meditation. Thinking is a critical aspect of doing business, especially if you're in it for the long haul. Sarah Blakely, a longtime journaler and billionaire entrepreneur, shared in one interview how she had more than 20 notebooks where she logged the terrible things that happened to her and the gifts that unfolded as a result. AOL CEO Tim Armstrong, for instance, makes his executives spend 10% of their day, or 4 hours per week, just thinking. Jeff Weiner, CEO of LinkedIn, schedules 2 hours of uninterrupted thinking time per day. Jack Dorsey is a serial wanderer. Bill Gates is famous for taking a week off twice a year just to reflect deeply without interruption. Experimentation. And finally, we have experimentation. So yes, you've done your brainstorming. Now it's time to put those ideas out into the world and see if it will work. The founding father of the United States, Benjamin Franklin, set aside time for experimentation. When he died a little over a half-century later, he was America's most respected statesman, its most famous inventor, a prolific author, and a successful entrepreneur. Franklin's learning time consisted of the following: waking up early to read and write, setting personal growth goals, i.e. virtues list, and tracking the results, creating a club for like-minded aspiring artisans and tradesmen who hope to improve themselves while they improve their community, turning his ideas into experiments, having morning and evening reflection questions. Google is also known for allowing employees to experiment with new projects with 20% of their work time, and Facebook has a similar experiment, but theirs is called Hack-a-Months. Another individual who's quite relentless with experimentation was the American inventor Thomas Edison, with his biographer citing his zealous endeavor, saying although he understood the theories of his day, he found them useless in solving unknown problems. And with that, we're concluding today's topic of how millionaires spend their time. We hope you've learned a lot from today's video, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel with the notifications on so you don't miss any of our new releases. We'll catch you again next time, and thanks for watching.